이렇게 서서히 데리고 올 거야.
The film begins with family moving to a new location. The family consists of a mother, father, and a brother named Yu. However, Jin feels uncomfortable around them for some reason. The family soon arrives at their new house, and as they gaze at it, Jin feels as though he has seen it before. Following this, the family begins organizing everything in the house, and we see a calendar that shows the current day, the 5th day of 1997. After settling in, the family sits down for dinner together. Jin then asks his father why one of the house's rooms is locked. The father explains that it was the room of the house's former owner, who expressly requested that only those who can hear the sounds emanating from the specially designated chamber, other than Jin, be permitted access to that room. Jin becomes extremely irate and starts hearing noises again when he goes to sleep at night. He checks. And when Jin requests to enter the special area, Yu walks there and tells him that the sound he is hearing is not coming from the room, it may just be the sound of lightning. Jin is frightened by the voice saying, because it is raining a lot today. Later he goes for a walk with Jin, but he gets a call from someone and leaves Jin behind. However, Jin, concerned for his brother, begins to follow Yu and discovers that some people have violently abducted him. He informs his parents that Yu has been taken. There are numerous cases of people whose health deteriorates because they ran in the rain, and while receiving treatment, they begin to have nightmares. After regaining consciousness, his parents take him to the police, who take his statement and inform him that the kidnapping van number he mentioned is not listed in any records. Days go by and Jin receives no updates. A friend who is experiencing nightmares is unable to identify the individual in his dreams. Up until this point, he had been dreaming of being imprisoned and then abducted. Suddenly, he hears the sound of the special room's door opening. Bakarajan becomes so terrified that he covers himself with a blanket and goes to sleep. When Jin's brother Yu returns after 19 days, Jin is thrilled to see him safe and sound. However, when Yu is questioned about who abducted him and why, no one responds because poor Yu has had to deal with a lot. Nothing has been found for 19 days. His brother used to walk with a limp on his left side, but now he is walking with a limp on his right. When Jin notices this, he tells Yu that he may be misinterpreting him, saying that he has always walked with this leg. Something strange is happening in the house, which is not normal. He approaches him and tries to murder him, but he changes his mind. However, Yu is unaware that his brother was actually Jagda, who had witnessed his deed and was aware that Yu was murdering him every day. He pretends to go somewhere, and now that people think his family is keeping something from him, he begins to follow his brother. When Jin sees this, he feels extremely afraid because he no longer knows what is real and what isn't. As a result, he continues to follow his brother. When he gets to the niche where he is highly respected by everyone and is called in the box, he recognizes them as the police officers who visited his home. But he is able to trick them. Jin begins to flee and is clearly being pursued by them, but he manages to escape. However, Yu abruptly approaches from behind and renders him unconscious. The person with the eyes was on his study table, and his brother was acting as though something had to have happened at night and he hadn't left the house. Whatever had happened. He no longer believes his brother's statements and is terrified because he believes that his real brother has been killed and that an imposter with a different agenda has taken his place. He dismisses all of their inquiries and claims that everything he saw was a dream and that he is worthless. You haven't taken your medication in days, and it seems like it's having an adverse effect on your mental health. Jin temporarily relaxes after hearing this. But he still doesn't trust Yu because he discovered the pencil lead on the study table, which his brother removed the previous night. Jin then confides in his mother about all of his uncertainties and concerns, including the possibility that Yu has passed away and that someone else has replaced him. However, Jin's mother doesn't listen to him very much. Later, Jin finds the strength to enter the house's special chamber, where he sees Yu's dead body. He is horrified but soon realizes that he is only dreaming when he hears his mother's voice. When Jin discovers that his mother is speaking to fake Yu on the phone, he is startled to learn of his passing. His mother has informed Yu that Jin has begun to mistrust him. If so, please finish your work as soon as possible. I can no longer handle this drama. After hearing this, it becomes evident that this woman is his real wife. The woman is not his mother, and the other family members are not his relatives either. Why these people are posing as his family members and what they want from him? Flee the house. He feels unsafe there. However, when his phony father confronts him and tells him that he cannot leave, Jin pushes him and escapes to go to the police station in order to protect himself. He then goes to the police station and informs the officer that he was abducted by some people who then posed as his family. I find it incomprehensible that when they did this, how did they persuade me for the first time that they were my family? After hearing this bizarre tale, all of the policemen are somewhat perplexed. However, one of them shows up with his file, verifies his birth date, and declares, "You are 40 years old." Those who hear this get upset because they think they are old. He noticed that the station's calendar showed the date May 5, 2017. But those who remember it well know that the calendar at home is from 1997, so they can't tell if it's 1997 or 2017. Instead, his eyes went to the TV and smart devices that everyone uses daily. But after seeing these gadgets, although Jin is not acquainted with either of these presidents, when Jin looks in the mirror after realizing all of this, he sees that his face has changed as well. This now involves a 40-year-old man who leaves the station in a state of confusion. He then wants to go home and speak with his fictitious family to find out what they specifically want from him. But he is forced to do so because the house is now filled with dolls and some girls lying there with blood dripping from them. Seeing all of this, Jin is really perplexed. But then Yu arrives there with his fictitious parents. When Jin wonders who they are, Yu responds that Bruce Lee killed a family in this room 20 years ago in December of 1997. Jin is still rather perplexed by this. Yu explains that a man and his daughter were brutally murdered in this room 20 years ago. Afterwards, the authorities made numerous unsuccessful attempts to track down the murderer. Years went by, and the statute of limitations expired, so the police could no longer prosecute the murderer. However, Winch's last relative was eventually taken into custody and gave me the task of solving this case. I then began to solve this forgotten murder mystery, searching for clues for months but to no avail. After 4 years, we were able to identify the true murderer of the family, and it was you, Jin. We captured you and subjected you to a great deal of torture to get the truth out of you and to determine why you committed the murder. But you refused to tell us anything, as if you had no knowledge of the murder. So, I called a professional hypnotist to check you out. After Park Dato examines you, he tells you that there is a time in a person's life when their memory has been erased from their mind, and they have purposefully erased their memories. If we want to know the truth, we have to bring back your memory, which requires placing you in such an environment. It is important to remember that you killed the family, therefore, perhaps reenacting the past can help you remember it. We engaged a retired artist since we required an actor for the next project. All we need to do now is reenact the previous incident. Mr. Park hypnotized you in order to reconstruct and bring back your memory. As a result, you are convinced that you are a 20-year-old lad who is moving to a new location with his family, rather than a 40-year-old man. The movie's opening sequence, in which all of these individuals are moving to their new homes, he felt as though he had seen this house previously because Jin had committed murder there years prior. Therefore, whatever had happened in this house was a combination of the incidents involving this fictitious family. When he heard the sound coming from the special room, it was from the men trying to recreate the scene from 20 years ago in that room. After that, we played out the plan, which was to take him to the location where the murder had occurred. However, the night we were supposed to follow the plan, I was caught by the police on charges of fraud, and it took me 19 days to escape. Now that we are face to face, there are still people who find it hard to believe that you killed someone 20 years ago. If you had killed someone, you would have sworn, "I'm going to make you die a very bad death." Family members of the victim demand that you be shown every incident before you pass away so that you understand why you are being killed after enduring such a great deal of torture. Jin, however, immediately leaps from the car to get away and protect himself from you and his crimes. But Yu is severely hurt when his van stops as he is pursuing him. This occurs and concurrently Jin is struck by another car, injuring him as well. As a result, Jin begins to recall his past, and we see a scenario from 1997 when he was being driven somewhere by his true family. As she was heading to the car, their vehicle was involved in a horrific collision. 6 months later, we are shown a scene in which his brother was seriously hurt and his parents had died in the collision. Jin, needing a lot of money for treatment, makes a great effort to collect funds, but it is useless because he is only a high school graduate, and no one is lending him money or giving him a job, so he cannot get his brother the care he needs. Jin begins searching online for a job in hopes of finding one, but he is unsuccessful due to the financial crisis. However, he receives a private message one day asking if he can do anything for money. Jin writes to Ki-han, who categorically states that the sender will pay him the money, but that he will require him to kill someone for him. Jin is terrified when he sees this, but he is prepared to complete the task for his brother's surgery since he has no other options. He makes a call and provides an address where people must go in order to murder someone. His employer had explicitly ordered him to go to the house and kill the woman, but whatever the case, this is the same house where the murder occurred. Jin gets ready and goes inside the house. However, at the last second, Jin loses his courage because he knows he cannot kill anyone, so he begins to return. But a woman who is also very afraid of him shows up, and Jin tells her that he will not harm her. However, a woman's daughter, Azadi, sees the knife in Jin's hand and begins to scream violently. Jin then frantically implores her not to yell, "I will not harm you." But the girl keeps screaming, so Jin starts to go toward her. In a moment of panic, he accidentally stabs her, causing her to die in pain. After witnessing everything, the girl thinks of her mother and joins her in death. Jin kills her when she screams loudly. Committing 2 murders. Since he never intended to kill anyone, he is unable to comprehend what he should do. After this, a child comes crying and asks him, "Who are you and where is my mom?" Jin assures the youngster, "Your mother is doing fine. You should go to your room and sleep quietly." Jin does not want to kill this child. But then he notices a family photo where the man is pictured with Jin. When he identifies the doctor who treats his brother, he realizes that the person who offered him the killing contract is actually the same doctor who wanted to kill his wife. Before I continue further, I would ask you to subscribe. It takes a lot of effort to make such videos and still people don't subscribe. Can you do that? Knowing this makes Jin very depressed, so he visits the doctor. He goes to see the doctor and asks him why he did this, saying that those individuals are not his family. The doctor sobs and explains that the country's economy has collapsed and that they are traveling, so his family will not be able to provide for his children's upbringing. His wife's sacrifice was required because with her insurance money, his children would be able to study properly. The doctor then attacks Jin, but he also falls and dies as a result of his own foot slippage. This means that 3 people were killed in one day because of him in the same project that he didn't want to do. He regained consciousness in 2017 while he was on the hospital. Now you might have remembered your past, so tell me why I killed that mother-daughter duo. Who gave you the contract to kill them? It's possible that the woman's husband hadn't killed her, and Jin didn't notice Yu's reaction. Jin realizes that the doctor had also left a son alive in his family, and that the boy has since grown up to become Yu, who is curious about the truth of his family's tragedy. Jin begins to cry and apologize when he asks him why he spared his life 20 years ago. Jin then fabricates a story about how his father did not give him the order to kill his mother. Knowing this, Yu becomes extremely irate because he realizes that his father was responsible for everything. Yu then discreetly departs from the scene, just like those who can no longer cope with their damaged memories kill themselves by injecting poison. Just as Yu did when he died. After this, we are shown the 1997 scene where Jin had found a child who had offered him his lollipop. This happened after Jin saw this, and the unique thing was that the child was exactly like the one who had been left alive after thinking something. Perhaps Jin did not want to go too far with this adorable child, but he did not realize that by leaving him alive, he had given him a very painful life, which filled his heart with hatred. With this, the movie comes to an end. Thank you for watching.